Step into the shadows of history, where the CIA didn't just fight wars, they haunted them. Welcome to the chilling world of the vampire trick, a psychological operation so twisted, it turned legends into weapons and fear into firepower. In the dense jungles of 1950s Philippines, communist Huk rebels thought they were battling soldiers. But soon they realized the real enemy was something far darker. Shadowy figures, bloodless corpses, and whispers of the dreaded aswang preyed on their minds, leaving no trace but pure terror. This wasn't just combat. It was a masterclass in psychological warfare, where superstition became a battlefield and fear could kill faster than any bullet. From staged disappearances to drained blood illusions, the CIA weaponized the nightmares that had haunted these fighters since childhood, proving that sometimes the deadliest battle is fought in the mind. If you're ready to uncover 10 chilling secrets of how legends became lethal, hit that like, drop a comment, and subscribe. Because the darkness is just beginning, and these tales of shadow wars, haunted jungles, and fear-forged victories are too gripping to miss. Number 1. Operation in the Shadows. This wasn't your typical battlefield. No blazing sun, no marching troops, no flag-waving victories. This was a war fought in the deepest dark, where the enemy wasn't sure if they were facing soldiers or something far worse. In the 1950s, the CIA found itself deep in the jungles of the Philippines, going toe-to-toe with the communist Huk rebels. But instead of relying solely on firepower, they unleashed a weapon far more chilling: fear itself. Imagine shadowy figures slipping through the trees, silent as death, leaving no trace but a cold whisper in the wind. No gunshots, no warnings, just a creeping terror that crawled under the rebels' skin. The goal wasn't simply to kill, it was to shatter morale, to make every rustle of leaves feel like a death sentence. The operatives became ghosts in human form, masters of psychological warfare. And as the nights dragged on, the Huks stopped fearing bullets and started fearing the darkness. Because somewhere out there, beyond the tree line, the shadows were watching, and they never missed. Number 2. The Hukbalahap insurgency. Before the CIA's dark games began, the Hukbalahap, or Huks, were already legends in the Philippines. Born out of World War II resistance against the Japanese, these guerrilla fighters were hardened, disciplined, and unafraid to die for their cause. But after the war, their battle shifted, now aimed at the new Philippine government and the U.S. influence behind it. The Huks fought from the dense jungles, striking with precision and vanishing like smoke. They were skilled, motivated, and had the support of many rural farmers who saw them as protectors against corruption and oppression. For years, the Philippine military struggled to crush them, and Washington feared their communist ideology would spread like wildfire in Southeast Asia. But the Huks had one vulnerability. They were deeply superstitious. They believed in spirits, omens, and creatures of the night. And that, to the cunning minds in the CIA, was not just folklore. It was a weapon waiting to be used. The stage was set for a psychological operation so twisted, so eerie, that bullets would take a back seat to blood-curdling fear. If you're hooked by this tale of shadow wars, haunted jungles, and mind games that kill without firing a shot, hit that like button, drop a comment, and subscribe, because this story is just getting darker. Number 3. The Aswang Legend. In the Philippines, few legends strike fear deeper than the aswang, a creature whispered about in hushed tones. The aswang is a shape-shifting vampire demon said to stalk the night, feeding on the blood and flesh of its victims. To some, it takes the form of a gaunt, pale woman with glowing eyes. To others, a winged beast that hovers silently above rooftops. But no matter the version, one thing is constant. He aswang hunts when the sun is gone, and no one is safe. For generations, this myth had been used by parents to keep children from wandering after dark. But to the CIA, it was something far more valuable, a ready-made weapon of terror. The Hooks, hardened fighters though they were, still carried these fears from childhood. The legend was woven into their culture, their upbringing, their very instincts. And in the dead of night, when shadows moved strangely, and every rustle in the jungle could be a predator, even the bravest could feel that primal chill. This wasn't just folklore, it was psychological dynamite, and the CIA was ready to light the fuse. Number 4. Bloodless killers. The CIA didn't just rely on bullets and bombs, they weaponized fear itself. Enter the concept of the bloodless kill. No gunfire, no bodies riddled with bullets, just a corpse drained of blood, left in a way that screamed, something inhuman did this. The trick was simple, but horrifying. They would abduct a rebel fighter in the dead of night, kill him quietly, then slit the throat with surgical precision and hang the body back in the jungle where his comrades would find it. The sight was enough to freeze even the toughest guerrilla in place. To the Huks, this wasn't the work of soldiers. This was the mark of the aswang. The jungle seemed to close in on them, the darkness thicker. The night sounds more sinister. Every patrol became a march into the unknown, every shadow a possible death sentence. It wasn't just about killing one man, it was about killing morale. Fear spread faster than bullets, and once it took hold, it could paralyze an entire army. The CIA knew that in this war, terror could be the sharpest blade of all. Number 5. Drained blood illusion. This was psychological warfare at its creepiest, and the CIA executed it like master illusionists of terror. After killing a rebel, agents would take the time to drain every drop of blood from the body. They didn't just kill the man, they staged the scene like a nightmare made real. The corpse would be left where others were sure to find it, pale as death, eyes frozen in horror. No gunshot wounds, no sign of a fight, just an empty shell, as if something unnatural had sucked the life out of him. For the superstitious Huk rebels, this wasn't a human act. It was the work of the dreaded aswang, the vampire of Philippine folklore. They began to whisper in fear, wondering if their enemy was even human at all. Men refused to go on patrol at night. Morale crumbled. The jungle, once their safe ground, became a haunted trap. The brilliance and the evil of the drained blood illusion was simple. It made the mind surrender before the body ever did. This wasn't just warfare. This was terror theater. If this chilling tactic has you hooked and hungry for more shadowy secrets of history, smash that like button, drop your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe, because the darkness still has stories to tell. Number 6. Fear over firepower. Sometimes the deadliest weapon isn't a bullet. It's a rumor that crawls under your skin and refuses to leave. The CIA understood this better than anyone. Instead of relying solely on firepower, they turned fear into their primary ammunition. The aswang legend became their battlefield megaphone, spreading faster than any bullet could fly. They didn't have to engage in massive firefights. All they needed was one staged vampire kill, one whisper in the right ear, and the enemy began to defeat themselves. Huk rebels would abandon outposts, refuse to move at night, and even turn on each other in paranoia. Fear became contagious, eating away at the insurgents' courage from the inside out. It was warfare without armies clashing, without trenches or heavy artillery, just the invisible, unrelenting pressure of superstition. And here's the twisted genius. When people believe the enemy is something beyond human, No number of rifles can make them feel safe. This wasn't just strategy. It was psychological domination, a silent invasion of the mind. And once fear owned the night, the CIA didn't need to. Number 7. Silent disappearances. In the shadowy theater of the CIA's vampire campaign, some rebels didn't just die. They vanished. No gunfire, no screams, no trace. One moment they were there, the next, gone like a candle snuffed out in a storm. And that was exactly the point. The CIA understood the power of absence. When a fighter disappeared without explanation, the story wrote itself in the minds of those left behind. Whispers of the aswang filled the void. It took him, drained him, carried him away into the trees. No one had to confirm it. The silence was the confirmation. Rebel camps began to feel cursed, as if something hunted them one by one. Patrols avoided certain paths, refusing to walk under moonlight. Even the sound of rustling leaves could send shivers up hardened fighters' spines. By removing men quietly, the CIA didn't just weaken the enemy's numbers, they poisoned their sense of safety. The jungle itself became suspect, and when you believe the darkness is alive, you stop fighting the war outside, because you're already losing the war inside your head. Number 8. Panic spread like wildfire. Once the CIA's vampire legends began to take hold, panic didn't just creep in, it exploded like wildfire through rebel ranks. Fear became the weapon of choice, sharper than any bullet or bomb. As whispers of the supernatural terror spread, soldiers found themselves battling not just enemies, but their own rising dread. Every rustle in the dark, every shadow cast by flickering campfires, sparked visions of the feared creatures lurking nearby. Trust crumbled as comrades suspected each other of being the next victim, or even the monster in disguise. Discipline faltered, and morale plummeted, all because the mind's fear can be as deadly as any rifle. This psychological chaos shattered unity and sowed deep distrust, turning once fearless rebels into jittery, paranoid shells. The CIA's strategy was clear: weaponize fear to win the fight without firing a shot. And in this battle of shadows and whispers, panic proved to be the deadliest enemy of all. Number 9. An unofficial success. Though cloaked in secrecy, the CIA's vampire tactic quietly achieved what conventional warfare often couldn't: breaking enemy spirits without a single bullet fired. Officially, these shadowy psychological operations remain unacknowledged, hidden beneath layers of classified files and denials. Yet insiders know the truth. The fear campaign worked. Rebel forces found themselves paralyzed by terror, their ranks thinning not just from combat, but from the invisible grip of legend and myth. The line between reality and nightmare blurred, and the CIA's unorthodox weapon left lasting scars on enemy morale. While never openly celebrated, this blend of folklore and strategy carved a new path in intelligence warfare, one where fear, not firepower, dictated victory. It's an unofficial success story that changed the game forever. Number 10. Ethics in the shadows. The CIA's vampire trick, while undeniably effective, casts a long shadow over the ethics of covert operations. Using fear and folklore as weapons crosses a line, turning psychological warfare into something darker: psychological terror. Innocent villagers and rebels alike were caught in a web of deception, where myths were twisted into tools of control. The question lingers: is it ever justified to manipulate people's deepest fears to achieve political goals? This tactic exploited local beliefs, turning cultural stories into instruments of intimidation. Though the operation helped weaken insurgencies, it also raised serious moral concerns. In the secretive world of espionage, where truth is elusive and deception is the currency, ethical boundaries blur. The CIA's shadow game reminds us that sometimes the cost of victory might be the very humanity it claims to protect. And there you have it, the CIA's vampire trick. A war waged not with guns, but with shadows, whispers, and fear itself. These 10 chilling facts reveal how legends became lethal, how superstition was weaponized, and how psychological terror can bend even the toughest warriors to its will. The jungles of the Philippines were more than a battlefield. They were a stage for a dark theater where the mind was the ultimate target, and fear the deadliest weapon of all. As the lines between myth and reality blurred, the Huks learned a terrifying truth. Sometimes, what you can't see is far deadlier than what you can. If this dive into the shadows of history left your spine tingling and your curiosity craving more, smash that like, drop a comment with your thoughts, and subscribe. Because the world of secrets, shadows, and untold stories is far from over. And the next tale of terror is just around the corner.